For 40 days on God, Family, and Guns, we'll be focused on God. We have a series on spiritual warfare, the end of times, the prophecy of Daniel, and the prophecy of Malachi. If you want to see our gun-related or Second Amendment-related content, you can see that on Patreon or the History of Weapons. Those links are below. You know, as we continue to look at spiritual warfare, it's important that we take a moment and talk about why God chooses the warriors that He chooses. Because oftentimes there's nothing necessarily special about them other than their desire to be about their Father's business and walk into the dangers that God says walk into because He told them it would be okay. So if we look at the book of Joshua, chapter 1, verse 1, after the death of Moses, the servant of the Lord, it came to pass that the Lord spoke to Joshua, the son of Nun, Moses' assistant, saying, Moses, my servant, is dead. Now, therefore, arise, go over this Jordan, you and all this people, to the land which I am giving to them, the children of Israel. Every place that the sole of your foot will tread upon, I have given to you, as I said to Moses. So ultimately what we have going on here is Moses has been leading the Israelites from captivity in Egypt to this Jordan River, and now Joshua has taken over. Well, the reason they're even where they're at, and Joshua, we have to know, is one of the oldest people in this group because it was back in Numbers 14 that they had the opportunity to go into the Promised Land. And only Caleb and Joshua argued against this idea that we should go back to Egypt into slavery. So God punishes them for this, and it says starting in 32, But as for you, your carcasses shall fall in the wilderness, and your sons shall be shepherds in the wilderness 40 years, and bear the brunt of your infidelity until your carcasses are consumed in the wilderness. According to the number of the days in which you spied out the land, 40 days, for each day you shall bear your guilt 1 year, namely 40 years, and you shall know my rejection. I, the Lord, have spoken this. I will surely do so to all this evil congregation who are gathered together against me. In this wilderness they shall be consumed, and there they shall die. And the men whom Moses sent to spy out the land, who returned and made all the congregation murmur against him by bringing a bad report of the land, those very men who brought the evil report about the land died by the plagues before the land. But Joshua the son of Nun and Caleb the son of Jephunneh remained alive of the men who went to spy out the land. So then 40 years go by, and throughout that time we get to Numbers 27, where Moses recognizes that he is getting old. And these people need a leader, and it says, starting in verse 15, Then Moses spoke to the Lord, saying, Let the Lord, the God of the spirits of all flesh, set a man over the congregation, who may go out before them and go in before them, who may lead them out and bring them in, that the congregation of the Lord may not be like sheep which have no shepherd. And the Lord said to Moses, Take Joshua the son of Nun with you, a man in whom is the Spirit, and lay your hands on him. So ultimately what God is saying is that you have your guy, and what made him worthy for this position was simply his belief in God and his belief in the promises of God, so that anything that God says that Joshua can do, Joshua believes he can do it. So God says then, pick him. And then we see in Deuteronomy 31, Joshua is then anointed by Moses to then be that leader. And it says, Then Moses went and spoke these words to all Israel, and he said to them, I am 120 years old today. I can no longer go out and come in. Also the Lord has said to me, You shall not cross over this Jordan. The Lord your God himself crosses over before you. He will destroy these nations from before you, and you shall dispossess them. And Joshua himself crosses over before you, just as the Lord had said. And the Lord will do to them as he did to Sihon and Og, the kings of the Amorites, and their land when he destroyed them. The Lord will give them over to you, that you may do to them according to every commandment which I have commanded you. Be strong and of good courage. Do not fear nor be afraid of them. For the Lord your God, He is the one who goes with you. He will not leave you nor forsake you. Then Moses called Joshua and said to him in the sight of all Israel, Be strong and of good courage, for you must go with this people to the land which the Lord has sworn to their fathers to give them, and you shall cause them to inherit it. And the Lord, He is the one who goes before you. He shall be with you. He will not leave you nor forsake you. Do not fear nor be dismayed. And Moses passes away. So ultimately what you have here, if we look at again at the book of Joshua, chapter 1, verse 1, after the death of Moses, the servant of the Lord, it came to pass that the Lord spoke to Joshua, the son of Nun, Moses' assistant, saying. So ultimately now what you have, and if we, it's important that we look at how did Joshua get here? Well, when he was a young man and those spies went out, him and Caleb were the two that said, this is, you guys talking against God, this is wrong. Let's go get it. He promised it to us. He promised it to our ancestors. This has been a covenant with Abraham, then Jacob, and all of the nation of Israel. Let's go take it because God said we can take it. And the rest of the congregation say no. So Joshua was then chosen as that leader specifically because he believed in the mission that God had laid out. He believed it was capable 40 years earlier, and now he is very capable of taking it after 40 years of waiting to get this prize that he was looking for 40 years earlier. Moses has now passed away. Everybody has leaned on Moses since they left slavery. So if we go back, Moses, my servant, is dead. Now therefore arise, go over this Jordan, you and all this people, to the land which I am giving to them, the children of Israel. Every place that the sole of your foot will tread upon, I have given you, as I said to Moses. So here they are, ready to take the land. And this land is a big land. It says in 4, from the wilderness of this Lebanon as far as the great river, the river Euphrates, all the land of the Hittites and the great sea towards the going down of the sun shall be your territory. No man shall be able to stand before you all the days of your life. As I was with Moses, so I will be with you. I will not leave you, nor forsake you. Be strong and of good courage, for to this people you shall divide as an inheritance the land which I swore to their fathers to give them. So here's Joshua now. He's been watching Moses speak with God and have this relationship with God, and now Joshua now has this relationship with God. God is speaking to him audibly, and it's the instructions he's going to give him, and the obedience to follow those instructions, regardless how crazy it may seem or how cruel it may seem. Joshua does not at all turn from the right or the left. He follows that path, which gives him the victory that is promised by looking towards the promises of God, going towards the promises of God, and following the instructions from God. That's what Joshua is all about, and that's why this is such an awesome study of spiritual warfare. So, love to hear your thoughts on all that. Put it in the comments below. If you like this video, click like and subscribe. If you feel called to support this channel through Patreon, that link is below. But the most important part of this channel, we take prayer requests. Never hesitate to send that in. Thank you for watching this episode of God, Family, and Guns. And as always, love God, love your family, and love guns.